Remember how Benedict Cumberbatch seemed to be in every single movie releasing around the time of Star Trek Into Darkness? Well, guess what? The new villain for Star Trek Beyond, Idris Elba, has also been in seemingly every single movie released this year. There's got to be some kind of pattern emerging here.
Everywhere.
That's no moon.
Okay, now we have Star Trek Beyond. I'm a huge fan of the Star Trek series. I wasn't too much a fan of the TV show. I never really got into it too much. But the films I really love. When they first came out in 2009, really good film. I loved Into Darkness probably more than the first one. And it was safe to say I was very excited for this film. I think we both were.
I know a lot of people didn't like the trailers.
Yeah.
But I thought, especially the second trailer or the third trailer.
Well, we'll get into sort of the trailers because they had the soundtrack which they do use in this film. We'll probably talk about in a bit about how it feels a bit off.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the plot. I'll explain this one. So we've got the Enterprise crew back, and they're on their ship, and they're very bored with sort of traveling through space. They've resorted to shagging everyone on the ship.
Yeah. Which is pretty weird.
Which actually, to me, it
makes sense.
It makes sense. Like you've got this sort of montage of everyone bored on the ship and just having sex with each other, and it's like kind of feels wrong to be in Star Trek. But I guess I'd do that if I was stuck on a ship with loads of women. Anyway, so you've got that. They're all bored, and they go to sort of this planet, but they get infiltrated, and the Enterprise gets shot down, and they get stranded on a desolate planet, and they sort of have to fight for survival and sort of get to each other, all while sort of trying to fight off this villain played by Idris Elba. Krull was his name?
Krull or Krull?
So
I'm not really sure how to pronounce it.
They're trying to stop him, and they meet a new character called Jayla, who sort of kind of appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll talk about her in a bit. So yeah, they sort of get stranded on this planet, have to find each other. And that's sort of the first half of the film. The second half didn't enjoy as much.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I won't really talk about the second half because I don't want to get into spoilers because there's a plot twist that happens in the second half. But the first half, really loved it. Like, I was really into this film.
It was a lot of fun, yeah. Like, I think this is probably the weakest of the three new Star Trek movies.
Definitely is. Doesn't make it a bad film. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I did enjoy all of the characters, seeing them back on the screen together. You've got Kirk, Spock, Chekhov, Bones. Everyone's back, and it was really cool to see them all together again.
I think they all got a little, time to shine. Like, even Bones.
They did.
I didn't really care for Bones in the previous two.
But
he got some good...
Well, yeah, because Simon Pegg wrote the script, and he did give all the best lines to Bones and Spock. And they have a really good relationship in this film, because Bones and Spock didn't really react that much with each other, with that much of each other in the last film.
Yeah.
Or the film before. But in this one, they sort of team up, and they are really good together. Like, when they're stranded on this planet, what I liked was the dynamic between each of the different characters. You've got Kirk and Chekhov, then you've got Spock and Bones, Scotty and Jayla, who they meet on this planet. And then you've got Uhura and Sulu.
Yeah.
And they all had their own sort of scenes. But in the second act, what I didn't like as much was that they all get they're all together again, but it's all about Kirk.
Yeah.
They didn't really get much time together, like everyone together in the last act. And it really felt like a cliche sort of big action scene for the last sort of probably 45 minutes. Some of it was really cool. I mean, the effects obviously are amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it was cool to watch some of the scenes, some of the action scenes, some of the stuff that happens is really nice and really sort of like exciting. But I wish they'd focus more on the survival element of the film, because that's when the film really shines.
Yeah, definitely. I want to say as well that obviously this was directed not by J.J. Abrams, but by Justin Lin, who did the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Some of the Fast and Furious
Fast and
movies.
Furious 6, 7, maybe 5. I think he definitely did 6 and 7 anyway.
But there are, he apparently came into this with a specific vision, and there's some things that are different. Like somebody pointed this out to me. There's not as many lens flares. I don't think there's any lens flares.
I think there was one at the beginning, and they sort of just scrapped the whole thing. And he's put his own stamp on it. A lot of controversy around Sulu. Obviously, they gave him a new identity, made him sort of gay, which he wasn't in the original. I didn't have a problem with it.
No,
I know
it was just there. It's like there's nothing really to complain about. He's just has.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really feel like they thought it out. It was just like it happened, which fine. I wasn't bothered. But you've got stuff like that, and it really shows that they've put their own stamp on these characters. I think the character that shines for me in this film is Scotty. He's always just a joy to watch. Simon Pegg really has a passion for this franchise, you can tell. You know, he was in Star Wars, he's now in this. Well, he's been in this first, but obviously, you know, he really has a passion for these sort of films, and you can tell that he really, you know, he wrote the script and he put some really good lines into the script, and he played Scotty just so perfectly. And I like that he gave like most of the good dialogue to Spock and Bones, because I really loved watching them in this film. They were just so interesting to me. But you know, obviously, like I said, they sort of disappear in the last act, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, the last act really just kind of makes all that character development and kind of character moments in the middle of it kind of just seem a bit more like, oh, why can't we get more of that? Why does it always all of a sudden have to focus solely on Kirk? And what I didn't like as well was that the drama with Kirk was stuff that in the end just didn't matter. Like, basically, without spoiling
not in the grand scheme of things.
The drama is he kind of wants a higher up position. He's applied for this position, which means he won't be flying the ship. And at the end, stuff happens. But it never felt to me like I was always like, you know, he may have applied for this position. I don't think he's going to go for it. And I'm not going to spoil what happens.
Because they sort of mention it to Spock, about Spock being the captain or whatever, and then Spock's like, I want to leave. And they never really play on that.
It just doesn't feel like actual... Because I feel like in the original Star Trek 2009 reboot even, like with the character drama with obviously Vulcan being destroyed and whatnot, and then even in Into Darkness with the, you know, the kind of moral dilemmas. A lot of people hate Into Darkness. I think it's a great movie.
I think it's really good.
But a lot of the moral dilemmas of what to do, because obviously they want to provide justice, but you know, is hunting a man down really justice? It felt really like these characters were fleshed out, and in this movie it's just kind of one-dimensional in Kirk's place especially, and to an extent Spock, although I forgive Spock more because he had a lot of good moments with Uhura and Bones.
Yeah, but I feel like they really sidelined Uhura and Sulu. They didn't have a lot to do at all. I feel like they were barely in the film. Like they were in some of the pivotal scenes, but it's like you never really care. Same with, you know, Chekhov. He's in it a lot in the first half, and then they sort of just forget about him, and they do it to an extent with Scotty, although he's in it more than the rest of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the villain of the film... Actually, I'll talk about Jayla first. I really liked her. She was awesome.
I didn't think she had a lot to do, but she didn't annoy me, which is like, okay, you're actually a really good character, because I thought you were going to be so annoying.
Like, she was definitely one of the better characters of the film, but anyway, the newer characters. But the villain, played by Idris Elba, Kroll, I wasn't too into him.
No.
There is a plot twist involving him, which, okay, fair enough, it's pretty cool. But it just comes in the last sort of 10 minutes of the film, and you're like, okay...
It's a bit too late for a plot twist.
Yeah, he hasn't really done anything for the entire film. And then he sort of... That happens, and you're like, alright, he was never really a threat in the first place.
Yeah, he felt way too similar to Khan for me. Like, they tried to force this backstory on him, didn't work, really. Yeah. They tried to, you know... They made him pretty much unkillable, because it took so long for him to die. Or, not to die, but like... He took like so much damage, and he took so much of this, you know.
Yeah.
He should have been dead like so early on, but he's just like.
But with Khan, at least they knew what direction they were going with Khan from the beginning. With this one, it sort of feels a little bit added in at the last minute. But with Khan, he really was developed really well, and Benedict Cumberbatch played him well. Idris Elba was fine; he did a good job. But it was just the fact that. I feel like they didn't really need a villain. It should have been a survival film with the characters trying to find each other, sort of surviving through these hordes of characters, like villains and stuff. They didn't need one central villain to carry the film.
I like the whole aspect. If you've seen the trailers, it's kind of like a horde. Like this, you know, the Enterprise is attacked. They're almost like insects, like these spaceships that just slam into it.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was
really
definitely what made the film as enjoyable as it was.
It was like one other alien of that race who was named.
Yeah.
And I can't remember his name, but he had something to do with Jayla's past.
Yeah.
But again, like, I don't know his name. It's completely irrelevant to the story.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I've sort of crapped on this film. But don't get me wrong, I think it's a good film. I did have fun with this film. I really enjoyed it. For the most part, the stuff I've said about it, I mean, definitely could have been improved upon, but... As it stands, I mean, it's still an enjoyable film, and I still like the film. It's just, it's nowhere near as good as the last two, and it doesn't hold a candle to those, and you can really tell that the director's changed you can really tell that J.J. Abrams isn't on board this time, which is fine. He had to work on Star Wars. He did a great job with that. But I feel like he could have made this, like, you know, the plot of the film and everything, he could have just done it better. But overall, yeah, I mean, the film was fine. It was enjoyable. It's worth seeing. If you've seen the others and you're a fan of Star Trek, definitely watch it, because, you know, you will find things to enjoy about it, but just don't go in expecting it to be as good as the others, because, in my opinion, it's not. But yeah, still, what's your final thoughts on Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah, more or less, it's fun. It has more flaws than I would have liked it to have.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's terrible by any stretch. And I think if you are a fan of the 2009 movie and the Into Darkness, then you should give it a watch for sure.
Definitely. So yeah, that was Star Trek Beyond. We will be back next Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be posting a video on Friday because obviously, like I mentioned in the last video, Tom and Dale will be away for a week or two.
Probably about the next 2 or so weeks, the reviews will be, or the videos even, will be a bit like sporadic, and
I'll try and post some videos myself, but obviously they won't be as good quality as this, there won't be as much editing and stuff, but I'll try to keep the channel moving. But yeah, we'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.
It's a space station.